Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about SQL Generator, one of our most widely used tools. Alright, to get started with SQL Execute, the first thing you want to do is check your data connection. You want to make sure that you're targeting the correct database. If you're not, SQL Execute will target the data database. It expects its scripts and templates to be in whatever configuration data source you have selected. Once that's done, we simply type SQL in the filter. Now, launch SQL Generator. Alright, and we have SQL Generator. On your left, you'll see a list of all the tables that it has detected in the database. On the right, you'll see the tabs for examining and previewing your scripts. And of course, you'll see our logging screen open. Okay, so on your left, you have the list of tables that are detected in the database, a working area where you can examine scripts and whatnot before they're applied to the system, and of course our handy-dandy logging panel. Before we get into how to use the tool and what the extended functionality, let's look at templates. Almost all functionality in AzStudio is template driven. That is, if we generate code for you or perform any kind of automated function, it's likely that there's a script body behind that and a template. An SQL Generator is certainly no exception. For the script types that SQL Generator uses, well, it's pretty obvious. It's SQL Generator. And we have the different types of functions or stored procedures that will be generated when you execute against a table. You can modify these to your heart's content. They have a tagging system, they have a formatting system, and basically they'll generate anything you desire. You can upgrade these scripts, you can insert SQL, you can create your own scripts, you can tell it not to use certain scripts that we have already put in place. Additionally, you have script types. If you open script types, you'll notice you can edit these script types, which means you can add your own script types and scripts for your libraries, which means you have a templating engine already put together for you for your own extensions. That's really powerful. You don't have to come up with something different, and you can extend this limitlessly. Okay, so now that we know where our scripts come from, we can pick a table. Let's just take something very simple here. Let's just do alert filters, and let's tell it to generate. Once it's generate, you can select the scripts tab, and you can see all the scripts that are about to be applied to your database. You can make modifications, but you need to do those in the template in order for them to stick when you actually generate on SQL Server. Refreshing will change the table lookup. Toggle selection will let you toggle between selecting everything and nothing. And you can also select a namespace, which is pretty cool in that you can tell it to select all the tables within a namespace. Now's a good time to mention what namespaces are. Namespaces are the prefixes built to any object in AzStudio which are consistent across, say, a group of functionality. Just looking at this table list, you can see we've created our tables with different namespaces as prefixes. This is a concept we use throughout AzStudio and throughout our functionality. And what it says is I want to separate certain functions, certain groups of information, certain procedures like we're doing here, we're generating SQL, across a domain of a name space. And this is done in even if the target data source doesn't really have an idea of what a namespace should be. We just project that into the actual container. Now, SQL Generator only superficially cares about namespace names. So it's not so important here. I'm just drawing your attention to it because when we do the second step of our data binding, you'll see that it actually plays a pretty important role. Alright, so generate generates the scripts locally, and that's nice. But generate on SQL Server actually tells the system to apply these stored procedure scripts to the target database. In this case, we're going to put it in our dev database. So we're going to generate these scripts. It's going to ask you to confirm, and then once it does, it's going to actually execute those scripts. Excellent. We now have a set of stored procedures. If this is as far as you wanted to go, say you use another data access technology, but you like our templated ability to manage stored procedures, this would be where you stop in our OData linking. You could then use in Hibernate or Entity Framework or any number of data access layers to actually just execute these stored procedures. As a matter of fact, that's what we do. We directly access these stored procedures, and we never touch a table or schema behind them. There's a lot of advantages to doing it this way, both through security and through flexibility. But you don't have to do that. You can use this tool as a templated stored procedure or CRUD generator, which you've optimized to your own needs, and stop there. All right, drop procedures, drop prefix procedures, and drop all AZ procedures allow you to drop different sets of stored procedures. Drop procedures will drop whatever stored procedures were automatically generated for AZ for the table that's been selected. How does AzStudio know which tables to delete or which stored procedures to delete? The name of the stored procedure will always start with AZ underscore. If the stored procedure does not start with that prefix, then it is not considered to be part of the SQL generator's domain, and it will never touch those stored procedures. In addition, if the name of the stored procedure has the word custom in it anywhere, the stored procedure will never be touched by AzStudio's SQL generator. So the stored procedure needs to have a prefix of AZ and not have custom anywhere in it for it to be considered auto-generated code. So this means if you're using our naming conventions and following our patterns and you want to write a custom stored procedure, simply put the word custom anywhere in here, and the AZ's SQL generator will never touch it. It'll be completely safe from updates and deletions. Ensure default columns will make sure that the selected table has the required default columns in our database schema. We require certain default columns in schema as part of an extended vision of how data should work in a PAS system. We'll talk about that at another date, but this is a nice nifty tool to make sure that your system is doing what it should as far as laying out tables and making them correct. Export and import diagrams do exactly what they say. They allow you to export and import diagrams between SQL databases. Show logging panel shows you this panel in case you accidentally close it. And then we have instructions and plugin info, which will give you more information. This is HTML information on how to use this tool, and plugin info is giving you the plugin ID in case you wish to write your own plugins which extend this functionality. Code generation is a whole set of tools that generate code for you. The biggest one, and the one that's most talked about by our team, is the Generate AzStudio editor. This will actually generate an AzStudio plugin for you, which will create a visual editor for any table that you have in their database. See our plugin videos, our plugin creation videos, to really explore this tool and see the power of how it can generate a visual editor very quickly for you. The rest are utilities to generate really quick assignments. We've got all kinds of neat little row assignment stuff. It's just things that a programmer in his day-to-day life may need to have in place, and this will generate it really super quick. And that's basically it. SQL Generator's main function is to create a stored procedure layer to prepare your database for access. We think this is a more efficient way and an easier layer to keep in sync than using Entity Framework and Hibernate, which tend to get very convoluted and jumbled when things change. And this system is pretty straightforward and clear what you're doing and what you're generating and where it's going. So, thanks for listening.